When you hear the name Adam Smith, what pops into your head? Capitalism, right? The invisible hand, the wealth of nations. But what if I told you his most important book, at least in his own opinion, wasn't about money at all? Okay, let's get into this because long before he explained how a nation gets rich, he was tackling a much, much bigger question. How does a person learn to be good?
So get this, a full 17 years before his famous economics book, Smith published The Theory of Moral Sentiments. And this was no side project. He actually considered this his masterpiece. It's this incredible deep dive into our moral lives. And it all kicks off with one simple question.
I mean, really, think about it. Where does our sense of right and wrong come from? Is it religion? Is it just pure logic? Is it rules that our parents hand down to us? Well, Smith's answer is kind of surprising. And it starts not up in our heads, but right here, in our feelings. To understand morality, Smith says we have to get our hands dirty. We've got to start with the raw, messy, and super powerful emotions that are driving us every single day. Look, he wasn't some naive optimist. He knew we aren't born as perfect little angels. We are creatures of passion, love, joy, sure, but also anger and resentment. And these feelings are the basic, kind of selfish ingredients that we're all starting with. Now, think about what he's saying here. It's wild, right? We desperately want people to be angry on our behalf, way more than we need them to like the same people we do. This is our raw, unrefined starting point. So, how in the world do we get from that to a functioning, moral society? Well, the first big step, according to Smith, is this remarkable thing we humans can do. Our ability to imagine what it's like to be someone else. Now, when Smith says sympathy, don't just think pity. It's way more active than that. It's a real feat of the imagination. It's the act of putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to feel a version of what they feel. This is the engine that makes all moral connection possible. And this example he gives is just perfect. The baby only feels its own pain, right? But the mother, through sympathy, she imagines its helplessness, its fear, and that creates a sorrow that's so much deeper. We use this superpower all the time to connect with what's going on inside other people. So what happens, because we crave that connection, that fellow feeling from other people, we start to police ourselves. We see our own crazy anger or overwhelming sadness reflected in their reactions, and we learn to dial it back to a level they can understand and share. It's like our first big lesson in just getting along. But that's not the whole story. Okay, so seeing ourselves through other people's eyes, that's just stage one. Smith's real genius move is what happens next. We take that external mirror and we install it inside our own minds. I mean, sure, it's one thing to behave when everyone's watching, but what stops you from doing the wrong thing when you know for a fact you won't get caught? This is where Smith's coolest idea from this book comes into play. Over time, by constantly seeing how others see us, we internalize the whole process. We build this sort of ideal, neutral observer inside our own head, what Smith calls the man within the breast. And this little guy becomes our moral compass. And that is the secret sauce. We stop judging everything from our own biased, self-interested point of view. Instead, we start asking, hey, what would a decent, fair person who doesn't have a dog in this fight think about what I'm doing? And this is where things get really deep. See, it's easy to want other people to clap for you, to praise you. But the impartial spectator makes us want something more. It makes us want to be worthy of that praise, even if no one is around to give it. We start to care about whether we can approve of our own actions. So listening to this inner judge, that's how we develop what Smith thought was the absolute cornerstone of all virtue, self-command. The process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you feel that raw surge of anger. Then, the impartial spectator inside you takes a look and goes, whoa, that's a bit much. So you rein it in, not just for other people, but to earn your own self-respect. Doing this over and over, that's the path to becoming a virtuous person. Smith gives this amazing example. Think of a man who loses his leg. At first, of course, he's totally consumed by this tragedy. But over time, he starts to see it through the eyes of that impartial spectator. He learns to view his situation with perspective and dignity, and what felt like a world-ending tragedy becomes a manageable inconvenience. Now that is self-command. So why does any of this matter? Because for Smith, this whole internal journey, it's not just about you being a good person, it's literally the glue that holds our entire world together. Let's be honest, right? Our own tiny problems
can feel like the end of the world, while massive tragedies happening far away can feel, well, far away. And to show how we fight this natural bias, Smith comes up with a thought experiment that is just mind-blowing.
He says, let's imagine a decent guy in Europe hears that the entire nation of China, with its hundreds of millions of people, has just been wiped out by an earthquake. He'd feel sad for sure. He'd think about how fragile life is. And then he'd probably go on with his day and honestly sleep just fine that night. But here's the kicker. From his own selfish viewpoint, the real immediate pain of losing his own pinky finger feels way more significant than the abstract loss of millions of strangers. So what stops him from making a truly monstrous choice? That's when the man within speaks up. No, it shouts at him. It tells him that he is no more important than any one of those strangers, that to sacrifice millions for his own tiny convenience would be an unimaginable horror. That inner voice yanks him back from the edge of his own selfishness. And that, right there, is the whole point. See, it's not just laws and cops that keep everything from falling apart. It's this shared moral compass we all have inside us, this self-governing mechanism that allows us to live together in relative peace and trust. So in the end, what does it mean to be good, according to Adam Smith? It's the ultimate balancing act. It's about mastering your own selfish feelings, while at the same time feeling deeply for the feelings of others. It's a lifelong project, a constant conversation with that impartial spectator, that quiet but powerful judge that lives inside every single one of us.